G'day guys, how are you all? So we're going for part 2 of my video how I found my tumour. So where we left off last time, I just gotten a phone call that I need to go see my dizziness doctor. So I went in to see him. Obviously I was a bit all over the shop, a bit of disbelief, a little bit of fear, a little bit of like, why me? And then also, I don't want to tell my family, I don't want to stress them out. So I went in to see the dizziness doctor. He showed me the MRI, he showed me the white kind of thing that was showing up in my brain that shouldn't be there. And it was just coincidental that there was actually a brain surgeon in the same building as him. So I headed upstairs to see him. So we got in upstairs, we saw this neurosurgeon, and basically he just told me that he didn't know what it was in my brain, but it looked nasty, and that's not the thing you want to hear, you know, when you're in a doctor's surgery ever. So yeah, that word kind of scared me a little bit, and I remember leaving the doctor's surgery and walking down the hallway, and yeah, it was like a movie, like all the lights were flashing and like this yellow colour, and it was just really dramatic. And yeah, it wasn't a great feeling. So to follow it up with the worst feeling, I had to go outside in my car, and I sat there and I had to call my dad. And that kind of sucked because I was fine with the news. And I kind of never really accepted that it was anything dangerous or that it was going to kill me. I didn't want my subconscious thinking negatively, but I didn't want to pass the news on to my family. I didn't want to stress them out, and they're very brave people, but I know, you know, they would have been like, you know, you're going to be fine, very positive to me, but in their head they would have been, you know, going, oh wow, this is heavy. So yeah, that kind of sucked having to call him, but looking back on it all, my best supporters and my best support are my family, my girlfriend and my loved ones, so having them involved is a massive plus. So at this stage it's red alert, like, you know, everyone's thinking the worst, honestly, except for me. In the back of my head I'm like, you're going to be fine. So I had to go get PET scans, I had to go to Royal North Shore and get all these tests done, I had to get a spinal tap. I had to get these eye tests done. Basically, everyone was trying to find out what it was without actually cutting into my brain and biopsying, because where it was right in the middle of my head, where all the nerves kind of like come together. So it was like a CBD. So at that stage, cutting into my brain wasn't an option because of the dangers. So we did every other test trying to find out what it was. Anyway, I kind of wanted a second opinion, so I reached out to Dr. Charlie Teo, who is the best neurosurgeon in the world. He's done thousands of brain surgeries, and I thought, why not see the best? It's only going to happen to you once, you might as well go get sorted out. So you essentially have to like audition to see him. I sent him my scans, and one of his fellows rang me back, and they're basically like, yeah, this looks pretty nasty. Come in and see us. I felt relief that I was going to get looked after, but I also felt fear because I'm like, geez, my scan is bad enough to see this guy. So yeah, that didn't sit too well. Anyway, long story short, we went and saw him. He also didn't know what it was. He did think it was nasty as well, but didn't want a biopsy, didn't want to cut into my brain to get a little bit out and see what it was, just in case he triggered some other, you know, detrimental effects. So he said, look, our best course of action, let's get follow-up scans every year, and let's see if it grows. Because at this stage it was still, we didn't see if it had grown or not. Anyway, so what I had done, and what I recommended everyone else does if this happens to any of your loved ones, don't go to a GP and get a scan, because they'll send you for a CAT scan, and a CAT scan isn't detailed enough. You need an MRI. I went and got a CAT scan 3 times over the next kind of 3 or 4 years. I took it into one of my newer neurosurgeons, and he goes, look, the CAT scan is clear. I can't see anything wrong, but let's just in case get another MRI. That was in February this year, and I started to get a bad feeling, kind of a sinking feeling inside my tummy. So after this, I went and got the MRI. I went back to see him, and I just had a bad gut instinct. He goes, "Look, Joel, you know, it's been 7 or 8 years since we found it, and it's now grown. We now have proof that it's grown." And I'm just like, ugh. I genuinely just wanted it to be over. I wanted him to say, "Joel, look, it's the same size, or it's disappeared." In saying that, it had grown, and then that's what started the chain reaction with, I want you to go back to Charlie. I want to see what he thinks. And then Charlie, straight away, he's like, "Look, mate, we need to operate. We need to get this thing out of you. Let's do it." He goes, "The fact that it hasn't grown remarkably over a long time span should mean that it's not dangerous." So he left the decision with me. He's like, "Look, we can now call it a tumour. You now have a brain tumour. You need to either get it taken out," which is what he recommended, "or we can wait another year and see if it grew any more. But the bigger it gets, the harder it is to remove." So I went home, I went and discussed it with my family, and I was getting quite anxious about it, just knowing that it was in there and it was a tumour. So I'm like, screw it, let's get it taken out. And yeah, so that was where I was, and that's why I'm now on this path to recovery. So guys, please spread the word. Again, I'm not trying to become YouTube famous. I want as many people as I can to be able to see my videos and see that what I went through and what maybe they're going through is normal and you can recover. I went from like completely blind, couldn't walk, couldn't eat, couldn't swallow, to now I'm on my way back to I can now walk. I'm now going grocery shopping on my own. I can now stand up in a shower. All these little things you take for granted. So guys, feel free to subscribe, copy and paste this and send it out to your friends and your family. And if you do know anyone going through this, send them a link to my video. Hope you're all well. Stay healthy. Love you all. Peace.